He strangled Roberta Tenderich in September of that year at Firestone Metro Park. Her body was found weeks later. The FBI says Little has now confessed to 93 murders.
Rob Bailey reporting. Union leaders say they have presented General Motors with a proposal to end the 26-day-old auto workers strike. In a letter to its members, the United Auto Workers said last night that if GM accepts the union's counter proposals, they will have a tentative agreement. UAW made the counteroffer after a day of sharp disagreements with GM. Thursday, the automakers said the union was going too slow in its negotiations, while yesterday, the UAW complained that GM was playing games. Some 46,000 GM auto workers have been on strike since September 16th. In Ohio, home to a pretty pleasant place to live, Columbiana is the nicest place in America. That's according to Reader's Digest, which put the town at the very top of their annual survey. Columbiana was among 1,000 communities submitted for consideration. Publications saying the town is growing and changing and is a place where nobody will be left behind. I'm Kyle Cornell.
Filling your news feed with the top trending news at the top and bottom of the hour. Columbus's news is on News Radio 610 WTBN.
Right now, there's a child living in extreme poverty with no future and no hope. But you can bring hope when you become a Compassion International sponsor. Just text the word child to 83393 and sponsor a child right now.
They keep your trucks forever, they're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. Was that your last experience with your fleet repair shop? Hi, I'm Eric Raber, owner of ER Auto Care. We offer same-day service for your fleet, not someday service. Plus pickup and delivery. We work on Chevy Express vans, Ford Transit and Transit Connect, Dodge and Mercedes Sprinter, Nissan NV2500 and NV3500s, and others. We know that trucks off the road cost you revenue, so if you're tired of getting the runaround and excuses, call us at ER Auto Care. We'd love to be your fleet repair shop. When we say same day, it's same day, not someday. For quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing, call us at 614-363-0509. We're just 20 minutes west of Columbus at 8005 Lafayette Plain City Road in Plain City, and on the web at erautocare.com.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my, I guess it's just me. You know, you take off 1 week to go work at the OSU game. I come back, everyone's gone. Dad's out looking at leaves. JC is who knows where. Emily's away at some wedding, I hear. And it's just me. So, JC, are you there?
I'm here.
You know what? Thank goodness for it. You know, I can always count on you.
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah. Hey, JC, did you know our girl Emily got married?
Well, she went up and got married on us? Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations to her. That guy got a catch. She is absolutely a wonderful, wonderful woman. So congrats to both of them.
I had it down as she was going to a wedding, but I guess she was. Just her own.
Yeah, her own, huh?
Yeah, so she will be back next week, along with my father, Phil, as well. We are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and our active law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, is to always bring you the facts about the industry and ultimately help our listeners and customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Today on the show, I'll tell you what, JC, after missing 1 week, we ended up with 3 weeks of news. There's so much to get caught up on today. Governor DeWine announced this week some of the details of his 17-point legislation that has come out, and really he's kind of catching it from both sides right now. Both sides are giving him grief. And actually, what we're talking about today is I thought was really creative, and we're gonna go a little bit in depth about one specific part of his proposal, and see if we can work out some of the details and see what your thoughts are on it. And then also, we're going to talk a little bit about Dick's and Field and Stream, their announcement this week, which is just shocking. And we're going to get in depth about that. Elizabeth Warren was at it again, and then the JC is going to tell us about this poor girl in Kansas City who is, I think, is she suspended right now, JC?
Oh, I would imagine she's being charged with a felony and was let out of the school handcuffed.
Right.
The world is getting insane.
It is. It's crazy.
It's crazy when you hear the story.
And then something came out this week that we are really excited about. I guess not too many people get excited about these things, but the FBI 2018 Uniform Crime Report stats came out, and JC, you know what? The stats tell it all, and if we could only get the media to report on it, it just might quiet the anti-gun establishment.
Yeah.
Well, I guess probably not, but
they don't want the facts to interfere with their presidential their presidential and also their comments that don't always stack up to what the facts really are. So.
Right. So we're going to touch upon that, but we're going to save the details of that for a upcoming week because there are just so many stats in that are worthwhile. But we'll give you a little bit of the teaser a little bit later on today. Because we have so much today going on, and because a few LEPD associates are going to stop by, which looks like someone already did, we're going to skip the gun of the week, but I'm going to have that next week. And then next week, JC, too, did I mention we are having on air, we talked about it a little bit before, he's a YouTube sensation. He goes by the name of Nuance Bro, and he is making a name for himself by going around, amongst other things, to these anti-gun rallies and interviewing the folks at the rallies. Have you seen some of those, JC?
Oh, they're very revealing, to say the least.
Very revealing.
I've watched a bunch of those.
He's going to come on with us next week, and we're going to hear from him about why he got started in this and some of the interesting things that he has learned going around to these rallies. So that's definitely going to be worth a listen. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Rampart Hosting, Toyota West, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows, The Trigger Group, Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, and, of course, LEPD Training Facility, all who make the show possible each week. Joining me today in the LEPD studios, JC. JC, I feel like this next year is going to be just crazy with all the politics going on, and we're not going to talk in depth about it today, but California right now has millions of people without electricity by design. They turned it off, and actually I read in the paper last night that they're even attributing at least one death to this now, someone who was on an oxygen machine and now without power passed away, but yet they keep passing a whole slew of anti-gun legislation that's just ridiculous.
It's insane. I think it was already the worst in the country, and now they've added 12 more, and some are going to be really, really bad for gun owners. I mean, really bad. Not just, it's going to have a major effect on you operating some of your firearms.
And it's so, when we talk about the FBI stats in a couple weeks, their logic is so misguided, and it's just, I can't believe they continue to pass these laws and think they're going to get a different result than they get. Sitting here to my right, I know if I left the mics open long enough, someone would come by and pick it up. But we have our director of marketing, Dee, has stopped by. And Dee, you know what? I'm kind of excited, and this has been totally your baby on this. In a couple weeks, we've done traditionally a pumpkin shoot here at the range, and for some reason, we're not doing that this year. I'm suspecting because the cleanup the last couple years has been a little bit more than anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, it still kind of smells like pumpkins and apples in the range, and there's still a little
Which
bit
isn't
of
a bad
splatter.
thing.
No, it's fine. I mean, it smells great in there.
It's funny because the other day I was giving a tour back there, and I looked up, and there was still some remnants of pumpkins and stuff, and apples too, and stuff. So this year, you've put together something different for the week of Halloween. Tell us a little bit about what we're doing this year.
Yes, so this year we're going to have a splatter shoot. It's going to be the whole week of Halloween. So it's going to start Tuesday the 29th, and it's going to go through Friday the 1st. So there's going to be 3 targets to pick from. They're all splatter targets, and they're not just going to explode as soon as you hit it once. Every single little dot has its own paint, so it's almost going to be kind of like shooting like paintball guns and splattering everywhere. It's a good time. If you participate, you're going to get one splatter target, 25 rounds of 9mm, half-hour range time, and 1 free gun rental. So it's going to be $30 for members and $35 for non-members. Every single participant is going to get a goodie bag, and there's going to be free giveaways on Halloween Day.
So a goodie bag. I haven't heard about this.
Oh, yeah.
Should I even? I don't even want to know.
You don't want to know.
I
No.
don't want to know.
It's going to be good stuff in there, though. Don't worry.
Yeah, but it sounds exciting. These targets are kind of neat. We're bringing them in special for this. And I heard that you might even, you're trying to put together, maybe even pulling out the photo.
Yeah, for sure. Just to see all like the paint go everywhere and splatter around within a few seconds. Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
All right. So this is definitely going to be worth seeing. And it starts, what's the day that it starts? The week of?
Tuesday the 29th.
Tuesday the 29th.
2 more weeks, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more information going out on an email blast here shortly. As well, I saw it yesterday. You put together a list of a bunch of sale items.
Spooky deals.
Spooky
The
deals.
Spooky deals, yes.
And so there are a lot of great things on that too. Many of those firearms are below cost.
Yeah.
Just ones we need just to move along. And then you've been working so hard on some of these estate sales. We finally got them all out. The ammo's out. The firearms are out. They're on Gunbroker. There's a lot out there.
Several firearms. And then don't forget to follow us on Instagram at LEPD Firearms and Range. You can see all of the state firearms on there as well as on Gunbroker too. So make sure you guys are looking into that.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Dee, because you've kind of spearheaded that for us. On Instagram, anytime we get something used in, you're taking pictures and sending that out before it even goes in the case. And we've had a lot of people now who are following that, and you see it firsthand. I mean, the inventory changes not just daily, it changes within the day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had like a few customers come in last week. They're like, hey, we saw this on Instagram 5 minutes ago. Do you guys still have it? And boom, sold.
Right. I mean, there was one point this week where there were so many used firearms coming in, there wasn't room in the display case. So definitely, if there's something you're looking for, we'll put your name on a list as well when we see it and stuff. So, all right, well, Dee, that's good stuff, and we're excited. This is your baby on this, so it's
everyone needs to come out. It's going to be a great time. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of free stuff, and free giveaways, like I said, on Halloween Day. So make sure you guys come in.
Great. That's Dee. She is our director of marketing, does a great job, and really has stepped it up for us and brought us to the next level in that regards, and helped us really reach out there to the younger crowd and with the social media, and so
the millennials.
The millennials. There you go. So, all right, Dee. Well, thank you, and we will look forward to seeing that here in a couple weeks. If you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. That's at iTunes. It's on Google Podcasts. It's on WTVN's podcast site, and Facebook. Facebook Live is a great place. You can see the show, and it's out there indefinitely, and it's out there on the YouTube channel. All good places to go out there and see it. I listen back to it every week on the Google Podcast. It's a great way to go and hear past episodes. JC, news. There is so much news.
So much news.
Yeah, let's talk. We have a few minutes here. Let's talk about the announcement from Dick's this week. Dick's and Field and Stream. It's amazing what they came out with. I think it was on CBS, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is. They had an interview with the president of Dick's, and he, as you know, after the first school shooting, it was back in 2015 or 2012. He decided not to sell any more ARs, which was his decision. And then after the Parkland shooting in Florida, he says, we're not going to sell any guns to anybody over 20, unless they're over 21. I mean, anybody with shotgun, anything, even though you legally could buy it, we're not going to do it. Well, they interviewed him on CBS Sunday morning show. So they interviewed him because he's written a new book about his life, I guess. His name is Ed Stack, CEO Ed Stack. He admitted upon questioning that after they pulled the firearms out of Dick's, that they have lost about $250 million in sales. So I applaud that. I'm one of those who ripped up my gift cards and that I had. We used to shop there, and that all ended. But $250 million yet. And in addition to that, if you remember, Eric, he also destroyed an inventory of $5 million worth of ARs that his store had, turned them into scrap metal. So I lost $5 million there, but again, $250 million, and I applaud the losses. So
JC, I would be interesting to see just what the shareholders feel. I mean, I wonder if they are in step with him. I mean, obviously, it's a financial burden being placed on it from. I mean, presumably, the president of the company. I'd be curious to see if he catches any grief within the business for that, because that's substantial, and I mean, that's a substantial loss.
That is substantial. And another thing that's interesting, Eric, CBS also, after they interviewed him, they went on to interview this Diana Muller. Now, she's a 22-year veteran officer of the Tulsa Police Department, but she's also a gun rights advocate, so they wanted to see what she thought about that. And she said, hey, you know what, if they don't want guns, that's her right, you know. But again, I agree with her. She said it's really anti-American to start creating public policy through corporate policy. So that seems to be what they want to do. And then they said, why would you, I said, why would you need a gun like that? They asked her. And she said, would that be a fair question to ask? And she goes, no. And because she goes, look, this rifle and any other rifles kills fewer people than hammers and blunt objects. As a matter of fact, in the report, we'll go into it in detail, about 1.5 times as many people are killed with hammers and blunt objects, according to the FBI, than rifles in the year 2018. Think about that.
It's crazy.
So, but yet, here they are screaming about the one thing, and as we'll talk about in a little bit, you're surprised at the few number of people in this large country over the year that were killed by any type of rifle.
Right. And JC, something on that article as well that we picked up on, and I haven't heard it anyplace else. There was one site that had it on it, but within that, or right about the same time Dick's was coming out with this stance, there were, I think they said, a couple hundred CEOs of companies that you would hear about or that you would recognize that send a letter to Congress saying, they want universal background checks, and they're basically saying they're standing on the side of Dick's, which is fine, but that list needs to be put out there just to see who is supporting or who is using your money when you frequent their businesses or their products to go against anti-gun. And of course, Levi's was on there, but we're going to publish that list on our Facebook page. And it was a letter to the senators, and it was signed by, I think, a couple hundred CEOs. And you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't. It was, Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, and just, one right after another. But we need to pay attention to that, to know where our money's going when we frequent these businesses.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Eric. I mean, and again, folks, if you listen to the show, pull up, we have it on our Facebook page for the store. Pull it up, look at it, because these are people that are spending the money that you may be spending at their stores to take away your rights. And if you read the letter that went, they don't address any of the facts, like, hey, guys, guess what? This is the number of people killed during the year. We talk about it all the time, and I'll mention it again because we use the Centers for Disease Control report that they just put out the end of last year, so a little less than a year ago. They said every day 1,300 people die every day from second-hand smoking. These aren't smokers. Every day, 1,300 people more than that die every single day. And where's the scream and cry and hue about that versus less than 300 people that are killed by rifles across the nation?
It's crazy.
According to the FBI. So, we'll be talking about a little bit about that in a minute, and then in much greater detail following week. So
when we come back from the break, JC, let's hit on what Elizabeth Warren said, and then we'll get to some of the other, this poor girl in Kansas, talk a little bit about the FBI stats coming up, and get to some more of the details. We're on target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Score big this football season with BMI Federal Credit Union. Earn a $200 cash bonus when you open a new free checking account with BMI Federal Credit Union.
Yeah, we're
no
good
monthly
so
fee and
good,
no minimum
good.
balance
Hey, what kind of
required.
temp-
Whether at the
Oh, I
tailgate,
got it.
on the sidelines,
Okay.
What
or
kind of
on the
temp you got?
field, score big this season with BMI
I've got
Federal Credit
46
Union.
right
Go to
now.
number
That's
one
chilly.
best local credit union
Yeah,
in
it's
Central
been a little
Ohio.
cool
Call
this morning.
800-233-6880 or visit
Deej should be calling in here at some point.
today for complete
Okay,
cash
I'm
bonus
watching
details
the
and
All right.
terms. Offer ends October 31st, 2019. Member eligibility requirements apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
The TAT, the first Columbus restaurant to serve pizza. The TAT, still serving the finest Italian-American specialties around. Still family-owned for 4 generations. The TAT, where Jimmy,
Yeah, this is a
Dolores,
very
Marianne,
short
Michelle,
break.
Mike,
Yep.
and Tony say, thanks for letting us serve you for 90 years. Repair service for all American, Asian, and European vehicles, plus light-duty trucks with quality that beats the dealer, and without dealer pricing with erautocare.com. That's erautocare.com.
From iHeartRadio, #1 for podcasts, she makes money moves.
I'm Samantha Barry, the editor-in-chief of Glamour.
In her new podcast, She Makes Money Moves, you'll hear women from across the country sharing their personal stories about their salaries, financial struggles and successes, and the lessons they've learned along the way.
I made about $30,000.
Hey, Bob, what number do you want you calling on?
We're not going to be able to afford to keep the house.
Eventually, my credit cards just got maxed out.
What's the number?
488-2489. Hearing Services. Call 614-431-1010.
Here, ABC 6. First warning weather for today. A few more showers are likely, then sunny and dry and chilly for the afternoon. High of 57. For tonight, clear and cold. Patchy frost is possible. Low of 38. For Sunday, lots of sunshine. A little bit warmer. High of 66. It is a nice 46 degrees out there on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Ohio's talk giant. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today with my good friend, buddy, family member, JC. Dad will be back next week. He's out looking at leaves, apparently. JC, do you have any leaves where you're at? Yep.
Unfortunately, I have a sycamore tree, and the leaves, I've measured some that are almost 16 inches from point to point, and I get a stack of these that are they're amazingly bad.
Wow.
Lots of leaves.
Well, so JC, we went into break talking about some of the latest stories that are out there. Let's talk real quick about this Kansas City story. Tell us a little bit about what's happening out there and the lack of common sense that seems to be rampant.
This truly, I mean, what is happening in the country is amazing. Now, this is from the Kansas City Star. So this article that I have in my hand from Kansas City Star just came out on Thursday. So a 12-year-old girl is facing felony charges for pointing her finger like a finger gun, in school. Now, this was prompted by another fellow girl student who said, gee, the report is that she said, wow, she said, if you would kill anybody in here as a 12-year-old, so we're talking sixth grade probably, who would it be? And she took her little finger gun, pointed at a student, pointed at another, pointed at 4 students, and then pointed it at herself. And a resource officer apparently saw her doing this, and the school resource officer, which is employed by the Overland Park Police Department, arrested her, hauled her, handcuffed her in school, this 12-year-old, and hauled her away, and she's being charged with prosecutors are fitting to charge her with felony offense of threatening. Think about that. You're in school. Hey, who would you kill? What 5 people would you get rid of? And you go boom, 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 boom as you point, and 12 years old, now charged with a felony offense of threatening, handcuffed in front of her class. Okay. Now, it just, like I said, it calls into question the judgment of school officials, prosecutors. But really, are we really going to arrest 12-year-old girls for a hand gesture in this country? No, but it gets worse. In the same school system, but not the same school. That was in a middle school this time. In the same school system, 2 13-year-old middle school students showed up with guns in their backpacks, real guns. I mean, the kind that actually can shoot people, hidden in their backpacks. And guess what? No felony charges filed. They were, the discipline wasn't explained what was really happening, but both of them were charged in juvenile court simply with possession of a firearm as a juvenile, a misdemeanor. So get this. If pointing your finger at somebody in a school is a felony with potentially life-altering consequences, but bringing real guns in a backpack, that's just a misdemeanor. Now, is something wrong here?
JC, it's incredible. And you know what somebody has called in here who is just a great person to talk about common sense and the lack thereof. Let's get his opinion on this. I think on the line with us, Demetrius Stanley. You there, D?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Nothing. Hey, you know what? It's so great to have you call in. I listen to you every Friday with Blazer. You do a wonderful job. I'm thinking there's something here for you.
Well,
Are we losing him there?
Can you hear him? Can you hear me?
Yeah, try that one more time, D.
Well, we need to start doing this what it is. A lot of people seem to shy away of being a conspiracy theorist or whatever. The bottom line is that a party in this country that is becoming very communist in its ways to take the guns away from the people. And any way they can demonize the gun, they can demonize the way it looks, they're going to do it. And that's the bottom line. And so we need to stop acting like, oh, this girl, this was just for no reason. There's a reason why the media is putting this stuff out there. They're trying to put fear in everybody to make it okay. So we're taking your guns, half the country's okay. So we need to stop just pretending it's not happening, because that's what I have to say about it.
Yeah, D, you know what? You're so right. And when you, you and I have talked about this numerous times. There just doesn't seem to be logic in their arguments. We John and I talked earlier today about the FBI stats that just came out. This 2018 stats just came out, and as is the trend, I think, John, for the last 15 years, the number of murders in the whole country attributed to rifles. So all rifles, not just, assault weapons, for whatever that means, is way less than the number of murders by knives, but it is less than the number of murders done by blunt objects. It's less than the number of murders done by hands, fists, and feet. You don't want to marginalize 290 deaths, but it makes you a sensible person looking to solve a gun violence issue would look at that and say, okay, that's not where we should be focusing. So when that side focuses on it, it makes you think they have an ulterior motive. And
they do. They absolutely do. If you can't, they use tragic moments to use it to put more fear. You have to understand political correctness. Political correctness is an indirect attack on the First Amendment. It keeps you from saying the things you really want to say so you don't offend people, so you don't really get your message across. That's what political correctness is. They're pushing that. They're pushing all these, we need common sense laws on the Second Amendment, on guns. No, we need to just start calling it for what it is and acting accordingly. If we keep acting and certain words I can't say, but, footing around it, we're going to end up without our guns. We're going to end up without having free speech, and then we're going to be mad at ourselves because we didn't finally say what it is. Because until the day you say what something is and admit it, there's nothing you can do about it and change it. So I'm going to tell you what it is. It's an attack on the First Amendment. It's an attack on the Second Amendment so that this party can get control. I don't know if it's the party or the people controlling the party, but they're trying to take control, and the only way you can completely take control of this country is move the First Amendment and move the Second Amendment, and that's it. That's what it is, and that's the bottom line.
Wonderful, D. You know what? I think you got a reoccurring spot here every Saturday.
Oh, well, I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for calling in, D.
Run for office, and I'll vote for you.
There you go. Oh, you got
100% in agreement.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much, D. We'll catch up to you soon, and you'll have to stop by and see us here at the store.
Absolutely. All right, man.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, D. When we come back from the news, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what Governor DeWine proposed this week. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, it's Matt McCoy for Universal Windows Direct, who are once again a proud sponsor of Ohio State athletics. And right now, when you call
Cool. I know his reception was a little crap there for a while.
About the best, most energy-efficient windows on the market, and you're also going to get a pair of tickets to see the Buckeyes.
I know. I was hanging on. I was watching the clock. We're a little worried.
Buy one, get one free, no limits, 0% financing for 36 months, true lifetime warranty,
all right,
and
we should
tickets
be
to an Ohio
good
State
to go
football
now.
game while supplies last. Make the call now, 614-221-0700, or go online at universalwindowsdirect.com. Universal Windows Direct. I love my windows.
Are you suffering from cracked, pitted, buckled, uneven, and ugly concrete? You need Nature Stone. Nature Stone eliminates puddling, standing water. Paint does not. Nature Stone covers cracked, uneven concrete. Paint does not. Russ and Mike gave me a special deal from my listeners. If you buy today and have your floor installed in October, you'll receive an additional $250 off. Go to naturestone.com for all the details. Like my friend Mike says, it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
News news, traffic, and weather for Columbus. News Radio 610, WTVN.
North Royalton native Stephen Franzreb is the man accused of exposing himself in a series of outbursts outside multiple Kent State sororities over the past few months. He was tracked down by police late Friday and is being held in jail through the weekend. If convicted of his felony charges, Franzreb could face 18 months in prison. Rob Bailey reports $1 million bond's been set for the Ohio man who allegedly stole and crashed a police cruiser, killing 2 small children.
Dayton police say Raymond Walters faces multiple charges, including murder, after driving the stolen cruiser at nearly 100 miles per hour and crashing it into a parked minivan full of children, killing 2 6-year-old girls. 9 other people were hurt in the wreck.
And some tough news for drivers in Northeast Ohio. ODOT has announced work will continue into spring, early summer of 2020 before construction of the I-77 bridge project that spans I-490 will be complete. That goal is to replace the dual 2-lane bridges with a 6-lane bridge to help ease congestion in and out of downtown Cleveland. I'm Kyle Cornell.
Do you have a message, event, or product that everyone needs to know about? Then you have to check out iHeartAdBuilder.com. iHeartAdBuilder.com is the new online solution that gets your audio ad on the radio. All you have to do is answer a few questions online, and iHeartAdBuilder.com does the rest. You can even advertise on this station. If you've wanted to get your business on the radio and you don't have the time or need help from a professional, check out iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Sandoval.
You're
has
always
it all
on.
this
You
fall.
never not
Yes,
work.
fall is in the air, and Sandoval Buick GMC is ready with Buick and GMC trucks' most popular models. Save big with 0% financing on most new vehicles in stock, including
This
the
isn't your
popular
full-time?
GMC Terrain and Acadia, and Buick
Oh,
Encore
my
and
Lord, Bob.
Envision.
How do you do
Sandoval
it?
has it all with a huge selection of new, used, and certified pre-owned vehicles. Sandoval Buick GMC is located just 1 mile south of the
you sound
airport
like
on
me.
Hamilton Road, and online at SandovalBuickGMC.com. Sandoval has it all this fall.
Live from LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric. Sitting here by myself today, I do have my good friend JC on the line with me there, and my other good friend Demetrius Stanley, who just called in, and I tell you what, JC, he always has a good perspective.
Well, he does, and it's blunt, it's to the point, and it's accurate. Pretty much like his throws were when he was quarterbacking. So for the Buckeyes. So,
there you go. You know,
yeah.
we got to get him in here sitting with us one full show.
It was, but he's right on. And you hate to use these words. I mean, I hate to use the words of fascist, communist. But what is the deal? This is the Democratic Party. They don't seem to have. It's all polarized. It's one side. And what's the real reason behind it? It just seems they've garnered, a whole country full of sheep that are just following in their footsteps without analyzing what's going on, like the FBI report. You're not going to hear any of the Democrats talk about that, are you? So,
right. You don't. You don't.
But Stanley's right on. It's great having him.
Yep. Hey, John, there was a question that came in during the break there in reference to the Kansas City story about the young girl using her finger to point at a gun. So presumably, if you have that index finger pointed out, thumb pointed up, semi-auto or whatever. I mean, is that what you can assume, or?
Yeah, I don't know what a finger pointing gun. To me, it looks like it would be a single shot. So, I think that thumb's got to come down each time, right? When you point, you just
that's true.
Bang,
but the question was.
Plus, it doesn't have a place for a magazine either. So I'm thinking it must be just a single shot.
Okay, so then what is that? They wanted to know if the girl had put up her middle finger. Is that like a Derringer?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. That might be a bayonet on the end of your index finger. So I'm looking, that sticks out a little farther. So they probably got her for that, too. She probably had a nail on the end of that finger, too. So that made it really extra dangerous.
There you go. Hey, JC, before we get to some of the news, we have another caller. Let's jump to real quick. Hi, you're on with On Target.
What are you doing telling people that I'm looking at leads?
Oh, my word.
This is Paul.
Where have you been?
Where have I been? I've been stuck on the boat here, wanting to come home to everybody. Right now, we're pulling into the harbor there at Boston, and Monday I'll be coming back home though. And actually, on our tours that we're taking, I am doing work for LEPD. I am getting calls for Leosa. I'm getting calls for private security. So I'm not looking at leaves. Come on.
All right. Well, without representation, we pretty much just made up where you're at. So
I figured that, so I had to call in to defend myself.
all right. Are you? And I hear that you were up in Canada at one point, so I assume that you haven't seen a firearm for a while. You're anxious to get back to your babies.
No, I have not. I have not seen a firearm. In fact, I am starting to get the shakes. Because I haven't had one in my hand for so long. And I would imagine, too, that you probably took a bunch in on trades that you're just dying to show me.
Oh, yeah. There's a few. There is a few.
Okay.
There's a couple that have actually come and gone.
Oh, no.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Well,
okay, well, of course, I swore off of buying them, so you'll have to buy it for me.
All right. I'm sure we can work out a loophole there.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, I'm going to let you go. I don't want to tie you up your show and everything. But I did want to check in. And not Sunday, but Monday morning we get off the ship, and I'll be flying home.
All right. We will look forward then to you being back in your normal seat here next Saturday.
Okay. And I want to say hi to John and Denise for taking care of Jet. She's been doing a great job.
Yep, she has. He's here right now in front of us.
All righty. All right. Well, look, I'm going to let you go, and I'll be back.
All right. Bring me back a leaf.
You cannot get rid of me.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Papa.
We'll
Have fun.
All right.
There he
Okay,
goes. I'm not even.
Bye.
So he's on the high seas there, JC.
Yeah, I was going to tell him if he's in Boston, I said he should stop in and see his good friend Elizabeth Warren, a Democrat from Massachusetts. But we'll be talking about here soon.
That's right. JC, so quickly, let's tell the listeners what she said this week. And granted, she is, potentially going to be the Democrat, their presidential candidate.
The race goes right now, they say that she's arguably become the front runner. That's what they're saying for the race. But she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. If you watch her interviews and stuff, she really more. To me, is more like a comedian than a presidential candidate. But her ideas are not funny. Let me tell you. So she came out and said, this is from CNS News. Okay, so they put this out. That she's come out and said, basically, here's a proposal. So she obviously hates guns and wants to take them away from everybody because she's a Democratic presidential nominee, or wants to be. The proposal was to raise tax on gun manufacturers from the current 10%. So apparently gun manufacturers, unbeknownst to me, are paying 10% tax on firearms manufacturers. She wants to raise them to 30% taxes on the manufacturers of guns and 50% on tax on the manufacturer of ammunition. So if you manufacture ammunition like Black Hills, like a lot of these other places, she wants to put a 50% tax on those companies. The purpose, she says, is to bring new federal revenues so we can use for gun violence prevention and enforcement. Right, as we were talking about, 290 some deaths by all rifles in the United States, and yet she wants to put all this tax on there to prevent that. It's crazy. She also said, she's not done with all of her stuff. She said the gun industry makes too much money, so we need to start taxing them more. And she proposed creating a corporate tax of 7% for every dollar that a company, not just gun companies, but all companies, 7% tax on every dollar in profits above $100 million. And an excessive lobbying tax, this is a new one, that will tax any firms that spend $500,000 on lobbying. So you're going to tax them an additional 35%. If you spend above $1 million or $500,000 to $1 million, it's a 60% levy, and then it's 75% tax on anything above $5 million. So if you are, and some people said, look, this is just aimed directly at the NRA, which is kind of doesn't have a lot of money, but what they get, they do spend on lobbying to protect our rights. And if they had a 75% tax on that would just drive everyone. So apparently, she's against free speech and she's against firearms and going to do whatever she could to take them away from us. So
wow.
That was
so
on
where
CNS News.
So JC, so where's all that tax money coming from? I'm sorry. Where's it going to? I mean, she's going to collect all these taxes and stuff.
It's going to go a federal revenue program, so it's probably going to go. I don't know. I'm so down on what's happening out there, but who knows where it's going to go? But I guarantee you one thing: it's not all going to go to prevent firearms violence, because guess what? It's caused by criminals who don't pay any attention to the laws, not by law-abiding citizens. We all know that. And when you look at this FBI report we'll be talking about, you'll see in a country this size, spread out as where we are with 330 million folks, that the number of deaths by these rifles, so-called, not just ARs, not AK, but all rifles, is minuscule compared to, like we said, by deaths by hammers, blown objects, lots of other reasons. So it's crazy. And like Demetri said, there is, whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, there's something wrong with this country when 100% of the Democrats have now said we need to take the guns away from people.
Yep, it's crazy. And JC, when
no free speech, no guns. We're. I mean, that's what our Constitution was about.
When we talk about that in a couple of weeks on the FBI stats, it's amazing the stats for California, who is presumably one of the the ones with the most legislation. JC, while you were talking, somebody else, I'll tell you what, you guys got to get back in town, because every time we leave the mic open, it gets picked up. Actually, one of my my good buddies here, actually part of the LEPD family, kind of the LEPD gunsmith. I mean,
kind of, right?
Well, I tell you, I'm going to sit here and bless you. I mean, you are killing it.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Yeah. So you haven't broken anything.
Not yet. Not that you know of.
That's right. That's all right. It's all about that. It's all about figure it out when you do. But Sean stepped in with us. He actually stepped out of his Handgun 101 class. Sean, next Saturday we're debuting the Handgun 202. And customers have been asking about this for a long time now, because
quite a long time.
They felt like Handgun 101 was a great introductory, and then we had nothing between that and either concealed carry or Big Sean's defenses class.
Yeah.
So you and Big Sean got together and put this as a good leader into either CCW or
that's right. We're basically building off Handgun 101. It's just the next step. It's going to be shooting fundamentals. So mostly it's going to be more hands-on with the firearms, and still kind of reinforcing the gun safety rules that you learn in Handgun 101.
So is this class, is it 1 hour in the classroom, 2 hours on the range?
I think it's 2 hours in the classroom. We're going to do a lot of dry fire exercises, stuff like that. That really helps people develop that, get rid of that mental block they have whenever they live fire.
Right.
We notice a lot of beginners and stuff have a problem with flinching, tensing up, anticipating recoil, so to speak. So we're really going to focus on, penny drills, snap cap drills, how to properly dry fire your firearm, before actually applying it with real ammo.
And that comes into play so much when you get on the range from either the defensive handgun classes. I mean, it really builds on itself. And we always say that it's a perishable skill.
Yes,
and
it is.
To get a good baseline, this is just the natural evolution of Handgun 101, get to 202 and really start to get yourself acclimated in the industry.
Yeah, and like you said, we're trying to bridge the gap to more of the defense classes. How this plays out with 202, there might be a 303, coming up, that if we feel that there should be a next step, if people need to learn more before taking a CCW or whatnot.
Right, because the other thing too is that this is done. I mean, you're learning some of the fundamentals, whereas when you get into the defensive series, you're on the range, you're down range, and I mean, you're still learning, but you're in it. I mean, it's live fires down range, so this is a great segue to that.
Exactly. That way you can integrate too with the live fire. So now you've had the mental capacity of pulling the trigger without flinching. You're just applying that once live ammo is applied to the scenario.
Right. Hey, and I'm going to throw this on you here. This isn't rehearsed and stuff.
All right.
But I don't want to belabor it, but you have been doing a phenomenal job on the gunsmithing. You're packed in there. What are some of the biggest things you're seeing? Is it repairs? Is it sights? Is it what's the biggest thing?
It's kind of trendy. Like when I first took over, I got swamped with 1911s. And mostly, doing sights is an everyday thing. Trigger jobs are picking up. And right now I'm in the shotgun season. So I have a bunch of semi-auto shotguns, one that's driving me nuts right now, but the rest were pretty smooth. And
Yeah,
you know,
good.
so we're in shotgun season. So
Good. We'll stop by LEPD, see Sean. He's on the sales floor. He's in the gunsmith shop. He's on the range. Is there? I mean, do you ever go home? You know?
Nah, I don't think so.
No.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Sean. Look for Handgun 202. It's next Saturday.
Yep. Starts up. What is that? October 19th.
Yeah.
Saturday,
next Saturday
from 10 to 1.
All right.
Yep. Yeah. So you can sign up by calling in or stopping by. And are you teaching it next week?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Great.
I'm being thrown to the wolves.
There you go. So. All right. That's little Sean here. Skinny Sean. There you go. So, JC, let's hit to a break, and then when we get back, let's talk a little bit about Governor DeWine's proposal that came out a little bit more in depth this week. Does that sound good?
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right. We'll be back after the break. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range.
Are you ready for flu season? Visit the pharmacists at your neighborhood Giant Eagle Pharmacy for your flu shot today. It's your best defense against the aches, chills, fever, and the worst symptoms flu season has to offer. Plus, with your flu shot at Giant Eagle, you'll earn $5 in free groceries. So get ready to keep yourself and your family healthy this flu season and earn free groceries with a flu shot at Giant Eagle Pharmacy, your trusted pharmacy for over 30 years. Certain restrictions apply. See pharmacy for details.
Cooler temperatures are soon
What
upon
kind of
us, so
temp
it's
there,
time to start
Bob?
thinking about making sure the house can button up tight, right?
now.
Well, one
All
way
right.
to do it
That was
is
good, Dad
lock
called.
into some new Pella windows and doors.
he's like,
Energy
he's just-
efficiency.
he's
It's
putting
one of the
it
most
on.
requested features that Pella gets asked about daily. Double pane, triple pane units.
we need
You
to
have
hit
choices that
5740
Pella
for the
will
hard out.
help
I got it.
guide you through. And
Just
right
wanted to
now,
make
the
sure.
offer's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah.
50% off installation or 72 months, no interest financing. Give them a call, 877-98-PELLA, or visit online at PellaColumbus.com.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Gain some insight and connect at LegacyRetirementGroup.com.
Your ABC6 first warning weather for today: a few morning showers, then sunny, dry, and chilly for the afternoon, high of 57. Tonight, clear and cold. Patchy frost is possible, low of 38. It's going to be a little bit chilly. Sunday, lots of sunshine, though, a little bit warmer, high of 66. Currently 47 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Get up to speed Monday morning. The Joel Riley Show. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Welcome back to On Target. JC, for a second there, I debated whether to just let the song play out the rest of the show.
Oh yeah, that's that would be good. I'd be for either one. Eric.
Not to get too far off track, but that's usually what we do. Did you see Eagles are coming out with a concert, or they're going to be on tour next year playing the Hotel California album with 70 or 80 musicians on stage?
Wow.
It's supposed to be spectacular.
That ought to be great. I love everything about that except the California part.
Exactly. So, JC, we've been tiptoeing around Governor DeWine. He had come out a couple months ago with 17 points that he wants to do to help curb gun violence in Ohio. And we've worked with them on a couple things, getting NICS a little more solid as far as the information going in, the timeliness of that. There's some good things coming down harder on criminals who purchase firearms for people that are not eligible to have a firearm. So there's a lot of good things. This past Monday, though, he really started to put pen to paper. And though the actual text of the legislation isn't out there yet, one thing that we picked up on, and so did Buckeye Firearms and some others, is one provision that's kind of unique in it, and I think it's worth a conversation. As everyone knows, universal background checks is the rallying cry on the other side. Even to the point, I was in a church this week, and at the entrance to the church, they had brochures you can pick up about the church. And they had one brochure that you picked up, and it says, "Do your part for criminal justice reform. Get out there and talk about passing universal background checks." And I'm thinking, geez, they don't. Most of these people probably don't even know what that means. And, of course, us in the field, we know that means the only way for that to work is for the government to know where every firearm is. And that's just, let alone a logistical nightmare. We know the criminals aren't going to abide by it because they're criminals. And so it's something that we know that's not going to work. But Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Houston came up with an idea, and it has potentially some merit. And it is called a private background check. I think that's what they're calling it, JC?
Yeah, voluntary. Yeah, voluntary background check.
And the way
a voluntary background check for private sales. So yeah, that's what they're looking at. So not mandatory, but it's a seller's. You could possibly receive a seller's protection certificate, as they say.
So in essence, the way it would work, it wouldn't mandate that every transaction be subject to a background check like at a store through an FFL, but it would strongly encourage private sellers to go through this this voluntary background check. So you would, in essence, by means of the internet or calling in, you would do a background check, I believe, on yourself, probably be issued a certificate, a number of some sort. So if you were at a gun show or someplace else, the seller of the firearm would say, hey, I'm only going to sell this to someone who's done a background check, and you would then present the certificate, and you as this seller would feel comfortable that this was going to someone who has had a background check. There's some merit to this, and the one part, though, that the governor is catching some grief on is that they went a step further. And, John, explain what they're saying, that if you sell a gun individually without doing this, there could potentially be some liability to you now.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a voluntary, as you said, or a private sale background check. By the way, that would be done by your local sheriff, so it's not a national federal thing. What they do, they may do a NICS check on you again, I don't know. But they would give you this, apparently this kind of certificate. And but one of the things that I know the Speaker of the House, Larry Householder, is expressing some deep concern the way it's worded right now. Now, this was just from the press conference where they announced it, but he said the plan would enhance penalties for those who sell or provide a firearm to someone who is legally prohibited. So if you have the background check on yourself saying, hey, look, I'm clean. If you buy the gun from me, I'm a good guy. But if you sell it to someone who isn't, one of the problems is they've recommended lowering the burden of proof by requiring the prosecutor to prove negligence of the seller rather than recklessness. The current law says recklessness in selling a firearm to a prohibited person. So now if it's just, negligence of the seller. So if you didn't vet out the person you're selling to or know that he was okay, I've always asked on private sales, hey, are you under any firearms disability? They could look me in the eye and just flat out lie to me. But if they're, have a Ohio driver's license for handguns and, they're over 21, and I ask them that. But who can prove that I actually asked that question? So if that person took a gun and committed a crime and said, hey, where'd you get that gun? And you find out that it was mine, is that negligence? I could be charged with negligence of by the prosecutor for selling that. So what that Speaker of the Householder said, he had deep concern because it's the only piece of property, to my knowledge, where you bear negligence after you've lost possession of it. So you don't know what that person's going to do, and you could be charged with negligence and selling it to them. So I think that really needs some attention. So that's kind of a little hiccup there in that proposal.
It does. I think it has some at the core base of it. I think it has some potential value. I mean, I think most people, if you're selling a firearm in today's environment, would want to sell it to someone who you feel comfortable selling it to. So, I mean, that's, honestly, that's why we get a lot of trades in, because people say, you know what, I don't want to mess with the potential of selling it to someone who was prohibited. I don't even want that, that thought that I might do that. So this might give a means for people who want to do the right things. Of course, the bad guys on the street are going to continue to sell them to each other. They're stolen. I mean, it's not going to stop that, but either would a universal background check either. So I don't know. I think it's a good beginning conversation, and it might be something that could evolve. Maybe you don't make the penalties as harsh for the seller if you don't do it. I'm not sure, but maybe it's something that has some merit, and maybe, just maybe, Ohio can be a leader in this regards.
Well, yeah, my hat's off to the governor and the lieutenant governor for attempting to do this, because it's such a polarized area. Most of the people who are pro-gun just say, no, we don't want any of this. It's just another step down the slippery slope. Anti-gunners want more and more and more. And he's trying to walk that road in the middle and use sensible legislation and options. So he did apparently, when it comes out, he did kind of drop the red flag law that was earlier proposed once people pointed out that we currently have laws in effect that can do every bit of that. That's going to be interesting to see what happens, Eric, on that. So, and the thing that surprised me, just one last thing, this was all brought about by the shootings that happened, and every one of those guns had background checks. On them, so it didn't stop any of the crime in Dayton the church shooting or the one.
All right, JC.
So none of this would have an effect on what has happened.
That is right. Well, JC, it has been another hour. Next week, definitely want to listen in. The YouTube sensation is going to be joining us, and his story is phenomenal and definitely interesting at the very least. Thanks for spending the last hour with us. Look for more items out there on our Facebook page, and have a great week. And JC, you have a good week as well.
All right, my friend. Bye-bye.
All right.
From the Elk and Elk Studios, if you were injured on the job, call the lawyers at Elk
All
and
right,
Elk
hey, you want to do commercials, or
Ohio,
you want me to try to get this during the week?
610 WTVN.
Hey, it's Matt McCoy for Universal Windows Direct, who are once again a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. And right now, when you call Universal for a free in-home estimate, you'll find out about the best, most energy-efficient windows on the market, and you're also going to get a pair of tickets to see the Buckeyes in the shoe, courtesy of Universal Windows Direct. So it's buy one, get one free, no limits, 0% financing for 36 months, true lifetime warranty, and tickets to an Ohio State football game while supplies last. Make the call now, 614-221-0700.
This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we welcome a YouTube sensation to the show, and Eric has the gun of the week.
Come have a fantastic time at the Bob Evans Farm Festival. Join us for a weekend of family fun.
This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we welcome a YouTube sensation to the show, and I have the gun of the week sponsored by CNS Engraving. Tune in Saturday at noon or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road.
Dumplings and cider slushies. Come on down to the farm for the 49th
This is Eric
annual
from
Bob
OnTarget.
Evans
This
Farm
week
Fest.
we welcome a
October
YouTube
11th
sensation
through
to the show, and I have the gun of the week sponsored by CNS Engraving. Tune in tomorrow at noon or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road.
Bob Evans, down on the farm.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a
This
select
is Eric
quote
from
agent for the
OnTarget.
true
Today
story
we
that
welcome
could
a
save you hundreds